Kingsbury Brown was a very prominent Boston lawyer who loved the environment, he loved intellectual thinking, and he loved doing, making things happen.
Kingsbury Brown started something really big.
He was thinking the big thoughts before any of us could even pose those questions.
Kingsbury Brown was a savvy and inspiring mentor.
An inspiration to so many people about voluntary land conservation.
Absent Kingsbury bringing the folks together, I don't think there would have been a land trust assembly in the United States for at least another 10 years.
Kingsbury is a great communicator, and he loved people, interacting with people, and was very good at it.
He was just a lot of fun, and he was so interesting. And he was a little good-looking, too.
He had two passions that I observed as a kid. One was how to help families solve problems of inheriting land that they could no longer afford for the next generation. And that was an issue that came up in his legal practice. And then he also loved the outdoors and open space. And I think the land conservation piece of his practice, which came along later in his career, really brought those two topics together in a really meaningful way, because he could use the legal process to help families protect land.
He provided them with tax counsel and what he liked to call legal care. He didn't provide legal advice or legal direction. He always talked about providing legal care.
Conservation easement is the most powerful tool for conservation of private land. And Kingsbury's work really set the stage for that to be the case.
I think you could say his contribution to the land trust movement was he created it.
Kingsbury was very interested in how land trusts differentiated across the American landscape. The way I would describe it, if you know one land trust, you know one land trust.
So he knew the land trusts in New England, but what he didn't know was anything about the growing land trust movement in the western states.
Before World Wide Web, land-saving practitioners, especially the few of us working out west, were isolated.
In 1980, he took a sabbatical.
And this was as a visiting fellow at the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy on leave from his law firm.
This is a guy who, remember, earns his living by billable hours, takes a sabbatical to visit land conservation groups across the country and to learn from them.
Well, I was lucky enough to go with him on that trip. And it was one of the most fun times we've ever had. King was always good at meeting new people and getting along with them.
He was a very good listener, and I found that the skill of listening is actually the most important skill in all of conservation.
Dad was always of the mind that everyone had something to contribute and that people's perspectives might be different, and that only added to a solution to a problem.
I would argue that he may have been the very first human being that talked to more than a couple of dozen land trusts in the course of a year.
And comes home so inspired by what he's seen that he resolves to convene these same people that only he had met in common and bring them around one table to meet each other.
I think in the late fall of 1981.
1981, so easy to remember that date because I took along my 3-month-old child to the meeting.
The roof was rattling, the rain and the wind was howling. Kingsbury at that time was holding forth. Most of us were brand new to the land trust movement, and you felt like you were at a seance with the archdruid, which of course we were.
It was almost spontaneous combustion. That's how I remember it. We all got together and we just kind of fed off of each other. The excitement of, oh my gosh, this is going on all over the country and we can learn from one another. And it was Kingsbury Brown who set the groundwork and built the foundation for audit.
It was his vision, it was his doing, and out of that came the Land Trust Exchange, now known as the Land Trust Alliance.
When Kingsbury died in 2005, I and I know others wanted to do something to honor Kingsbury and to keep that spirit of his alive. We worked together to create an award. Its purpose was to honor and recognize leaders who embody the characteristics of Kingsbury Brown. To understand the impact he had, you have to understand some of the characteristics that drew countless people into his circle and realm. He was a wise mentor to countless fledgling land trust professionals and organizations. I don't think we'll ever know the breadth of the impact on individuals that he had. He had an insatiable curiosity. He was a teacher, a writer, a scholar, but also a doer and a man of action. He had a marvelous wit, which I hope will be captured in the video. And he had a real faith in land trusts, that land trusts are going to evolve into something really important in this country.
Now the Land Trust Alliance, the collective membership is 1,200 groups. We have 12,000 staff, 15,000 board members, 5 billion members collectively. And this community of conservation groups has now protected 50 million acres. That's more than the entire state of Wisconsin.
The work of the early Kingsbury Brown award winners and fellows has been tremendously important. Each one of them has, respectively, made a significant contribution to the land trust movement, ranging from showing how forests protected with easements can be powerful tools in fighting climate change, to helping create an international alliance of organizations that protect land in the civic and private sectors. We can imagine that Kingsbury would be very proud of the work that each of them is doing to advance his legacy.
I think Kingsbury's travels, particularly to the Arctic, confirmed for him that we're not traipsing through life, we're not walking on things, but that we're part of it, and that the land is part of us, it was part of him, and that there was a connection there. He was never a casual observer. To him, it was part of a broader canvas, a poem of sorts, and it stated to him, I think it said, that if this is truly part of us, then why would we not want to protect and preserve and honor it?